People say humiliation is harmless, a moment, a joke, something you're supposed to laugh off. But that's only true until the wrong man is humiliated. The night a group of street gang members shoved the Joker into the dirt, mocked his scars, and recorded his silence for the world to see, they thought they won. They thought a quiet Joker was a harmless Joker. They were wrong. Because the Joker has one rule. He never forgets the moment someone decides he's weak. And he always pays his debts in ways no one sees coming. They said he didn't fight back. They said he just lay there on the cold pavement with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, letting the gang laugh, spit, shove, and record him like he was some street clown who forgot his act. But no one saw the truth. No one noticed the tiny tremor in his fingers, the slow inhale he took after every hit, the way his eyes, half-lidded, unfocused, dazed, still watched every movement, every face, every weakness. The Joker wasn't silent because he was defeated. He was silent because he was memorizing. It had all started earlier that evening, outside a rundown bar on the east side of the city, the kind of place where neon lights flicker like dying stars, and nobody asks for names unless they're planning to carve them into something. Joker had gone there for one reason, to be alone among people. He liked the noise, the chaos, the cigarette haze that blurred everyone's faces. It was the closest he ever felt to being invisible. But invisibility invites predators. The gang called themselves Southline Kings, though not one of them had the dignity or discipline to be anything close to royalty. They were young, angry, and hungry for power, power they didn't deserve. And that night, they found someone they thought they could step on to feel taller. It began with one of them blocking Joker's path, an oversized boy with gold teeth and a cheap leather jacket. He looked Joker up and down with the confidence of someone who had no idea he was standing 1 inch from disaster. "Look at this clown," the gang member said loudly. "Bet he cries colored tears too." Laughter erupted around him. Joker didn't even blink. Another guy, smaller but meaner, tapped Joker's cheek with 2 fingers. "Say something funny, clown. Come on. Make us laugh." Joker looked at him slowly, like a man turning toward a whisper in an abandoned church. "You first," he murmured. The gang loved that. They loved the way he spoke, soft and tired, as if their existence drained him. They thought it was weakness. They thought wrong. One of them pushed him, hard. Joker stumbled, hit the pavement, palms scraping against gravel. His laughter, strangely hollow, echoed off the walls. But the gang mistook it again, hearing only fragility where there was actually calculation. A boot struck his ribs. Another hit his jaw. Phones came out. Flashlights lit his face. The city walked by. Nobody stopped. People don't interfere when a man who looks like a monster is being attacked. They assume he deserves it. But humiliation is a dangerous seed. It grows into something venomous inside the wrong soul. And Joker's soul was a garden of thorns. When the gang finally got tired of their own cruelty, they walked off, laughing like they had just won a carnival prize. One of them shouted, "Stay down, clown," as if he had said something profound. Joker didn't move for a moment, not because he couldn't, but because he was listening to their footsteps, the rhythm of their voices, the car they stepped into. He listened until the sound of them faded into the night. Then he stood, slowly, quietly. His shadow stretched long across the alley, bent and broken like a question mark carved into darkness. He wiped his mouth and stared at the smear of red on his hand. "So," he whispered to no one, "that's the game we're playing tonight." He didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He didn't plot revenge with the dramatic flair people imagine. He simply walked, limping slightly, toward the street, his coat hanging off one shoulder, dust clinging to his hair like ash. He moved like a ghost, returning to the world. Back at his small apartment, Joker said nothing. He turned on the sink, washed the blood off, watched it spiral down the drain. His face in the cracked mirror looked unfamiliar, not because of the bruises forming beneath the paint, but because his eyes were too calm, too steady. That was the first sign something was wrong. For someone like him, silence meant the storm had already begun. He sat by the window, watching the city blink in and out like a machine losing power. He waited for something, anything, to break the stillness inside him. A thought, a memory, an emotion. Hours passed. Then it came. Not anger, not humiliation, not vengeance, but clarity. A cold, unnerving clarity that whispered in his ear, "They didn't humiliate you. They revealed themselves." He leaned back, exhaling. "And now," he said quietly, "I reveal myself to them." That was when he heard it. A soft noise at his door, something sliding underneath. Joker walked over, picked it up, and froze. It was a torn scrap of paper. On it, drawn with a black marker, was a crude doodle of a clown being kicked by stick figures. And at the bottom, 2 words, "Round 2?" Joker stared at it for a long, motionless second. Then, for the first time all night, he smiled. Joker turned the torn paper over in his hand, feeling the rough edges scrape lightly against his skin. Whoever slid it under his door didn't just want to mock him. They wanted to provoke him, invite him, challenge him. That was their first mistake. Most people think the Joker reacts without thinking, driven by impulse and chaos. But those who truly know him, if anyone ever does, understand the truth. His silence is never empty. It's planning, processing, choosing who he's going to be next. He stared at the childish drawing again. The little stick figure clown on the ground, the scribbled boots kicking him, the shaky handwriting asking, "Round 2?" It was insulting, but not in the way they intended. It reminded him of something older, something buried, a memory. He blinked, watching the lines blur into shapes from years ago, shadows, fists, voices. A boy cornered by teenagers with nothing better to do than break what was already fragile. The boy had smiled back then too, masking the terror with a grin he wished he believed in. Back then, he did nothing. Tonight would be different. Joker folded the paper carefully, almost delicately, and slipped it into his coat pocket. Not as a keepsake, he wasn't sentimental, but as a promise. A quiet covenant between predator and prey. Only this time, no one understood who was who. He stepped outside into the cold night air, letting it settle over him like a second skin. The streets were quieter now, humming with the kind of emptiness only a dying city knows. Trash fluttered across the sidewalk. A distant siren wailed its lonely song. Joker walked without hurry, following instincts sharper than logic. He didn't need to know where the gang was hiding. He just needed to understand what kind of men they were. Men who pick the weak. Men who need an audience to feel strong. Men who mistake silence for surrender. They were predictable. And predictable prey is already dead. He drifted through the city, turning down alleys and side streets until he reached a neighborhood where the lights buzzed like insects, and the walls were tattooed with messy graffiti, crowns, knives, initials, the signature of self-proclaimed kings. The Southline kings weren't subtle. Joker entered a narrow alley lit by a single flickering lamp. The ground was damp, the air heavy with cigarette smoke and sweat. Ahead of him, 3 figures leaned against a wall, talking loudly, laughing even louder. He recognized one of them, the boy with the gold teeth who shoved him earlier. The boy noticed him just as Joker stepped into the light. "Well, look who crawled back," he sneered. "The silent clown." His friend straightened, amused. Joker didn't respond. His posture was relaxed, hands at his sides, head tilted as if observing something mildly interesting. "You got my message, right?" the smaller one asked, snickering. "Thought you might enjoy a rematch." Joker nodded once. "I did," he said softly, "but I think you misunderstood." Goldteeth laughed. "Misunderstood what?" "That I don't play games," Joker replied. "I end them." The boys exchanged glances, smirking. They stepped forward, circling him like they were rehearsing dominance for the 100th time. But tonight, something felt different. Joker wasn't backing away. He wasn't trembling. He wasn't smiling. He looked calm, dangerously calm. Goldteeth shoved him again, harder this time. "What, no jokes? No giggles?" Joker tilted his head. "You want a joke?" "Yeah," the boy snarled. "Let's hear one." Joker leaned in slightly, lowering his voice to a whisper the others had to strain to hear. "A king who kneels isn't a king." The boy scoffed and raised his fist. That was when Joker moved. He didn't strike first. He didn't even touch them. Instead, he stepped back. One smooth, precise motion, and the boy's punch slammed into the wall behind him. Pain shot through Goldteeth's knuckles, and he cursed, shaking his hand. The smaller one lunged next, and Joker sidestepped effortlessly, letting the kid stumble past him. Another tried to grab his coat, but Joker twisted, letting the fabric slip through careless fingers like smoke. They weren't fighting a man. They were chasing a ghost. Joker let them exhaust themselves, weaving through their attacks with eerie fluidity. He didn't laugh. He didn't taunt. He simply let them fail. Finally, panting and irritated, Goldteeth growled, "Stand still." Joker stopped instantly, and the sudden obedience startled them. He looked up, eyes glinting with something cold and ancient. "There you go," he whispered, a moment of honesty. Before they could react, Joker stepped forward and did something none of them expected. He put his hand on Goldteeth's shoulder, gently. The touch froze the entire group, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. It was soft. Too soft. Wrong. "Do you know why I didn't fight you yesterday?" Joker asked, voice so calm it made their skin crawl. Goldteeth swallowed. "Because you're scared?" Joker shook his head slowly. "No," he said, "because I wanted to see what kind of men you are when you think no one will come for you." The boy's breath hitched. "And now I know," Joker added, leaning close to his ear. "You're cowards pretending to be predators." He let go. The gang stood frozen. Then Joker smiled. A slow, deliberate, terrifying smile. And that's when they heard it. A loud metallic clang echoing from behind them. They turned in confusion, only to see the thick steel gate at the mouth of the alley, the only exit, sliding shut. Locked, sealed, trapping them inside. Joker's smile widened. "Welcome," he whispered, "to round 2. For a moment, none of them understood what had happened. The metallic echo still vibrated through the alley, a heavy industrial sound that didn't belong in a forgotten corner of the city. Goldteeth stared at the sealed gate, blinking as if his eyes were lying to him. "Yo, what the hell is this?" one of the boys whispered. Joker didn't move. He stood perfectly still in the center of the alley, hands behind his back, posture relaxed, almost polite. The flickering streetlight above him cast long shadows across his painted face, making the bruises from last night blend into an unsettling mosaic of color. He looked like a portrait come alive. Goldteeth tried to sound tough, but fear had already begun to push through the cracks in his voice. "You think this scares us? You think locking a gate gonna change anything?" Joker raised one eyebrow. "You're mistaken," he said softly. "I didn't lock it." The boys froze. Joker lifted a finger, pointing gently upward. "To whom does fear belong?" he murmured. "The one trapped, or the one waiting outside?" A slow, heavy dread sank into their bones. Someone else had shut the gate. Someone they couldn't see. The youngest gang member, a boy barely older than 16, took a shaky step back. "Man, this ain't funny. Who's out there? Who's helping you?" Joker smiled faintly. "Help?" he echoed. "I don't have help. I have gravity." They stared at him, confused. Joker gestured around the alley. "A place like this is a magnet. Cruelty attracts eyes. Violence attracts opportunity." His smile deepened. "And weakness, real, genuine weakness, attracts things you didn't know were watching." Goldteeth swallowed, his bravado drained by the second. "We ain't weak." Joker's voice softened. "Tonight, you are." He stepped closer, inspecting them like specimens under glass. No threats, no mocking laughter, just a scientist observing something predictable. "Do you know the problem with men like you?" he asked. "You think humiliation is a moment. You think pain only exists while you're the one causing it." He tapped the boy's chest lightly. "But when you humiliate someone who's lived his entire life inside humiliation, you don't wound him." He lowered his hand. "You wake him." Goldteeth's jaw clenched. "We should jump him. All 3 of us." "You can try," Joker said. "But before you decide, listen." They did. For the first time, the boys realized the alley wasn't silent anymore. There were footsteps outside the gate. Not running, not marching, just approaching. Slowly, steadily, like something dragging itself closer. Then another set, and another. Not hurried, not human in rhythm. The boys backed away from the gate instinctively. "What the hell did you bring here?" the smallest one hissed. Joker shrugged. "Nothing." He pointed at their trembling bodies. "You brought it yourselves." A shadow moved under the streetlight outside the bars. Then another, then 3 more. Shapes of men, maybe not, lingered just out of clarity. The boys panicked. "Hey!" Gold Teeth yelled. "Who the hell's out there? Back off!" No response, only breathing. A ragged, uneven sound that scraped against the cold air. Joker's voice interrupted the rising fear. "Did you know," he said gently, "that this alley used to belong to someone else?" They looked at him, a man who wasn't wealthy, wasn't powerful, but he was respected here, protected the lost kids, fed the hungry ones. Joker's expression softened in a way that didn't seem possible on his painted face. "He kept this place safe until your gang stabbed him in this exact alley." The smallest boy's eyes widened. "That's just rumors." "No," Joker whispered. "It's history." The shadows outside moved closer. Gold Teeth stepped back. "What do you want? Money? Apologies? What?" Joker looked almost disappointed. "I don't want anything. This isn't about me." He pointed at the gate. "It's about who you've been feeding your cruelty to." As if summoned by his words, one of the shadows came fully into view. A man stepped up to the bars, face half hidden, eyes ice cold. His knuckles were scarred, his stance steady, but his expression was broken in a way only grief could carve. The alley went dead quiet. Gold Teeth recognized him instantly. Everyone in the neighborhood knew that face. It was the son of the man their gang killed last winter, a man who disappeared from the streets afterward, a man who had nothing left to lose. "You three," the stranger said quietly, voice shaking with restrained violence, "owe a debt." The boys stumbled back, terror eclipsing everything else. Joker stepped aside, offering them the center of the alley like a stage. "This isn't my revenge," he said calmly. "I'm just the reminder." Gold Teeth's voice broke. "Please, Joker, don't do this. Don't leave us." Joker laughed softly, and then the twist came. He turned to walk away, but the stranger outside spoke again. "Not you," the man said. Joker stopped. The stranger's grip tightened on the bars. "You don't walk away from this." Joker slowly turned his head. "Why?" he asked softly. The man's voice cracked with rage. "Because you were there. You saw them kill my father, and you did nothing." The alley temperature seemed to drop. Joker's smile faded. The gang boys stared in shock. This wasn't the twist they expected. This wasn't the twist Joker expected. The stranger stepped closer, eyes burning. "I'm not here for vengeance," he whispered. "I'm here for every coward who watched and stayed silent." Joker's heartbeat slowed, and for the first time tonight, he didn't know what was coming next. The air in the alley shifted, thick, suffocating, colder than the night around it. For the first time since the humiliation, Joker wasn't the one in control. He felt it immediately. The stranger's accusation didn't hit him like a punch. It sank into him like a memory resurfacing violently. The gang boys stood frozen behind him, their fear temporarily replaced with bewilderment. They expected Joker to laugh it off, twist the accusation into a joke, destroy the moment with his usual chaos. But Joker didn't laugh. He didn't smirk. He didn't even blink. He simply stared at the stranger, the grieving son, like he was looking at a ghost he thought he'd buried. "You watched," the man repeated, his voice cracking with a pain Joker recognized too well. He begged for help. "You stood there and did nothing." Joker closed his eyes for a moment, not to hide fear, but to hide the truth. He remembered the night, the alley, the rain, the father, gentle, tired, carrying more kindness than the city deserved. He remembered the gang cornering the old man for refusing to pay protection. He remembered hearing the cracking bones, the shouts, the laughter. And he remembered standing there, a shadow in the dark, watching life slip away from someone who had once offered him a warm meal when he had nothing. He remembered being a coward, and Joker hated remembering that. The stranger stepped closer to the bars, gripping them until his knuckles turned white. "I don't care what mask you wear," he said. "You're not a hero. You're not even a villain. You're a witness who ran." The word "ran" stabbed deeper than any blade. Behind Joker, Gold Teeth whispered, "Yo, he's talking to you, Joker." It wasn't mockery. It was disbelief, like watching a lion get cornered by a wounded deer. Joker turned slowly, looking at the gang boys who humiliated him. Their faces were drenched in fear, but their eyes held something else now. Recognition. For a moment they saw him differently, not as a monster, but as a man with fractures. Then Joker turned back to the stranger, choosing his words carefully. "I didn't help him," he admitted softly. "Not because I didn't care." A breath trembled out of him. "But because I didn't believe anything I did could save him. I believed this city had already decided his fate." The stranger's eyes burned. "And you decided nothing?" Joker shook his head slowly. "I decided to live," he whispered. "And sometimes that's the worst decision a coward can make." The alley fell silent again, a silence heavy with confession, grief, and the unbearable weight of truth. Then the stranger spoke, voice steadier now. "You don't get to punish them," he said, nodding toward the trapped gang boys. "Because what they did to him, they did to you too." Joker's eyes narrowed, confused. The man stepped closer, his face now fully visible under the flickering alley light, bruised, sleepless, painfully human. "You carry the same guilt," he said, "the same cowardice. You're not here to get revenge on them." He leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. "You're here to get revenge on the part of you that didn't fight back." Joker's breath hitched, because the man was right. This whole night, he wasn't punishing them, he was punishing himself. The boys behind him started crying, begging, making promises they didn't mean. They weren't important anymore. The stranger stepped back from the gate. "You want to fix something?" he said. "Then take responsibility, not revenge." Joker looked down at his hands, shaking slightly, not from fear, but from the unbearable realization that even monsters hated the parts of themselves that were human. He approached the gate slowly. The stranger held his ground, watching him with wary eyes. Joker stopped an arm's length away, and then he did something none of them expected. He reached into his coat, pulled out the folded paper, the Round 2 drawing, and held it out to the stranger. A peace offering, a surrender, a confession. The man hesitated, then took it. Joker's voice cracked as he spoke. "This is the last time I stand by while someone suffers." The stranger studied him for a long moment, searching for deception. Finding none, he exhaled, and then he unlocked the gate. The chains clattered to the ground. Joker stepped through, but halfway out he paused. He looked back at the three trembling gang boys. Their fate could be decided with a gesture. One nod, one glance, one smile. But Joker didn't speak to them. He spoke to himself. "You live tonight," he whispered. "All of you." The boys wagged in relief, collapsing against the walls. Joker walked out of the alley without looking back. The stranger fell into step beside him, but kept a careful distance. "You think this makes you a hero?" he asked quietly. Joker gave a tired, broken smile. "No," he murmured, "but maybe it stops me from being a ghost." They walked for a full minute in silence before the stranger stopped and spoke again. "You should know something," he said. "My father, before he died, he said your name." Joker froze. "He didn't want you to save him," the man continued. "He wanted you to save yourself." Joker's heart twisted. "What was his last word?" Joker whispered. The stranger looked at him, eyes softening. He said, "A breath, a pause, a truth, smile." Joker's knees almost buckled, not from pain, but from the unbearable weight of mercy he didn't deserve. And in the quiet of that broken street, for the first time in years, Joker smiled without madness, without violence, without cruelty. A human smile. The kind a dying man once asked him for, the kind he finally learned how to give. And that night, the Joker didn't walk away as a monster or a legend, but as a man finally facing the shadows inside him. If this story gripped you, shocked you, or made you think differently about darkness, make sure to subscribe for more haunting, emotional tales that dig deeper than the surface.